Hello, and welcome to the first episode of the Off Grid Current with Lithionics. I'm Jill, and I'm here with Reuben Macias. And today we're here to get the conversation going around lithium ion batteries. We both work for Lithionics, which is a lithium ion battery company. You'll see some of the products around us. But when I started here, I learned so much about power systems, the way you can power your RV, your marine vessel, whatever it may be. Lithionics has the solution. We're here with the pro, Reuben Macias. You've been with Lithionics for how long?
About 6 years.
About 6 years. And if you know Lithionics and you've spoken to Lithionics, you've probably spoken to Reuben at least once or twice. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
So they handed me the privilege of being a business development in it. So business development is my official title. So I do a lot of expos. I do a lot of factory visits. I do training, wide variety, even in the field, talking to the consumers themselves. So that's basically what my role is with Lithionics. Partially what I really enjoy and like to do is visit people. So I learn a lot from the market. I learn a lot from consumers. I learn a lot from RV dealers, those people that are selling it. They tell me what customers want. As an example of something that I do is I like to visit RV dealers and I train some of their techs. I train their sales staff. So I'll ask them what is kind of like your biggest sellers. So they'll tell me what RVs they'll sell. And I say, okay, well, let's look over the power system in each one. So it may not even be a Lithionics power system. But as we go through each application that they sell, I talk about each of their power systems and helps them to understand what that power system does, what it can't do, what it can do, how long can it do it for. It's very eye-opening to them. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, because it's like, well, when we were explaining this power system, they said that it can do X. And once you realize, or they realize in proof and math that it can't, they go, okay, now they kind of change the verbiage. But for the most part, it really just helps them to understand the power systems and what's involved and how to take care of them, how to speak to them. So that's something I get to enjoy.
Let's start simply then. What is a power system for anyone who's listening? High level, where would you even start?
Get it. So Lithionics battery used to be our name. Now it's Lithionics.
Got it.
So the core of any power system is the actual battery. That determines what you can do and how long you can do it. So the first essential part that we discuss is the battery itself. Then, because of RVs putting household appliances in a motive application, whether it be a marine vessel or whether it be an RV, the key is how do you put what's commonly found in a home into an RV, so that moves. What allows that transition is the inverter charger. So the inverter takes DC power from a battery and converts it to AC power to run household appliances. So you have your battery and you have your inverter charger. Then the question is well, how do I refill my battery? So that comes into charge sources. So that can be your solar, could be your alternator, and what is called shore power, which is just getting power from a grid, whether you're parked in an RV park or outside of a home, whatever the case is. So those are your three main sources of recharge. So that's typical power system: battery, inverter, charger, and then your refills, which is your solar, alternator, shore power.
And at its core, these are powering the appliances in your boat or RV, right?
Yeah.
They're not going to power your battery for starting or any of that, right?
So they can. For the most part, it is what they call your house battery.
Right.
But people do want the redundancy, the backup. If their starter battery depletes, whatever the case is, can I use my lithium battery to start a motor? And the answer is yes. So that's what makes Lithionics stands out, is that our systems are very robust enough that it can cold crank an engine. So again, we're all levels we're considering on how we can really improve the market and the consumer experience, at the same time have backup, because constantly running. They're moving.
Right.
They're motive. They're never at home.
Yeah.
Maybe they're full timers. So the idea is, what can we solve in the market? Yeah.
So a lot of people care about efficiency and performance with their batteries, but they also care about safety. And I think there is a lot of controversy right now around lithium batteries. Maybe you could clear some of that up.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to a system, I just mentioned many different components. The key is, how do all these components communicate with each other? Not just to provide a better experience, but like you mentioned, safety. So how can we make sure that the solar is not going rogue and overcharging?
Right.
How do we make sure the inverter or the alternator is also not going rogue and overcharging or undercharge, whatever the case is? And so the whole idea is to create one type of communication, one like your note ecosystem, right? One full ecosystem, so where everything communicates, provides a good experience, and at the same time, number one is safety. So more and more as people travel, they have kids. These are filled with loved ones, including dogs, right?
Yeah.
Dogs run the RV market in space. So you don't want to just put something that has less safety certifications and cannot be controlled into a livable space.
Yeah.
And so that's the key for Lithionics, is we want to make sure that we can control the environment, control the communication, but at the same time be able to make like a smart RV, like a smart home, make into a smart RV.
Yeah.
To where you can see everything going, you can control everything. So that's the intent of moving this market into a smart RV space. Yeah.
So let's break down like this whole myth versus fact. What is true? What's not? What are people hearing? I think just off the bat, what's one myth that you're sort of hearing when you're out on your travels?
That all batteries are made the same.
Mm.
So when a consumer looks at a battery, they look at the voltage, right? What's the voltage? So people are hearing about high voltage, and then you look at the amp hours or watt hours, which is the same thing. So thinking that every amp hour is created the same, watt hours created the same, it simply is not. There's cell technology, battery management system technology that differentiates. Yeah, there we go. What she said. Into a higher premium option, a more safer option. And so not all batteries are made the same, and really it's proven that they're not. So it's important not to think that. So again, there's a big difference in features and performance with each battery manufacturer.
Yeah, and why do people think that lithium is unsafe?
Every time you fly, you get asked the same question, right?
Yeah.
Do you have a rechargeable lithium battery in your luggage?
Yeah.
Right? And why is because the experience and the overall consumer space with rechargeables, whether it be a flashlight, a laptop, a cell phone, a vape pen, these things catch on fire simply because they're not regulated. Anybody can put a lithium battery into anything. I could put a lithium battery into here and make the outside case glow, right?
Right.
So the idea is that in the market, there has been enough experiences and still having experiences of unsafe rechargeable lithium batteries.
Right. And so I kind of want to divert off of that. Why are those ones seemingly unsafe compared to ours?
Yeah, so it all comes down to, and I'll give you an example. You take something very small, like your cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
How do you fit a battery in a cell phone?
Squish it down.
Squish it, and how you do that is the type of cell that it uses. So Lithionics uses prismatic lithium cells, lithium iron phosphate, right? Nowadays, when you put a small battery into a cell phone, they use what they call pouch cells. When I grew up, those were really getting bad. What happens is that if you charge your phone, you ever experience your phone rapid charging gets hot?
Yeah. Now
a pouch cell, when a pouch cell blows, it expands. And literally back in the day, our screens used to pop up because the cell. So that's the problem, is they're putting low cost cells. I'm not just going to call out pouch cells because there are some really good ones out there. But that's what's happening, is they're just finding a way to put small batteries into small things. And unfortunately, they don't do enough safety testings.
Yeah,
Then they want to make everything to be able to recharge something else. So you take like a small, I don't smoke, but you take a small vape pen. They give the options. You can charge your cell phone on your vape pen. Like that's crazy. So you're having a lot of just wild west type manufacturing in the consumer market. They're just doing what they want and whatever will sell, unfortunately, at a very low cost.
Yeah, and so you mentioned the temperature is what causes those cells to sort of expand.
Yeah.
And so what about these RV batteries, boat batteries, is different when it comes to temperature? You know, you're out on the road, it's hot, it's cold. How do they, take those temperatures?
So under extreme heat, the BMS is going to do a couple things. The battery management system. So this is your jockey. This is your horse. So this is what's running things. This is what's controlling things.
Got it.
So the BMS, if ever need be, let's say the module gets too hot, first thing it's going to do is going to cut down the charge. If anything's charged, usually high temps happen at charge. So it's going to limit the charge rate. But let's say the ambient temperature, the battery module is mounted somewhere and it's just getting hot because of the space. But then the BMS is going to say, hey, what's the temperature of me? Oh, what's the temperature of the battery? And if it needs to cut off charge or cut off discharge, it will cut it off. Unfortunately, cheaper products market higher temp cutoffs, and all they do is just remove that feature. Don't allow your battery to get to X, but they don't have a cutoff for it. They just tell you.
So they're saying, like, don't let it go above 130?
Yeah, don't let it go above here.
Yeah.
Or maybe they even say, hey, this is a low temperature battery. So they market the battery as a low temp battery, but the BMS doesn't have the feature to cut it off. It allows it to be used at a low temperature, which ages the battery. So it's a whole marketing scheme that people are doing, battery manufacturers are doing, saying, hey, this has a low temp, but all they're doing is removing the safety feature of cutting it off. Really bad and really unsafe, but they're taking it to another level, just marketing it as a low temperature battery.
I see.
So the BMS theoretically is going to provide the safety.
Yeah, it's going to cause it not to do that.
Wild West out there will just remove that safety feature and mark it as a low temperature battery.
Got it. And so it can go in the cold too.
Yeah, I mean the benefit of ours is if you look at this module and even some other ones, it has a heater kit. So the BMS, well, this is the big BMS. There's smaller BMSs in here, and this tells the heater kit to turn on whenever it needs to be. So it's thermostatically controlled. It's getting close to freezing, let's turn on. Oh, it's up high enough, let's turn off. So our batteries are designed to function charge and discharge.
And it does that all by itself, right?
It does it all by itself. So unfortunately, there's some manufacturers out there, not calling them out. You have to turn it on.
So you have to turn on the heating kit.
Yeah, you have to turn it on. Oh. So what happens with the average consumer is they leave it on. And so now you have a battery that's the heater kit's on when it doesn't have to, and it's draining the battery when it doesn't have to.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, ours is autonomous, thermostatically controlled.
Yeah, over time,
UL rated. The heater kit needs to be UL certified. Imagine if a heater kit
every
goes,
piece, right?
Yeah. What if the heater kit goes rogue and it just overheats itself and catches on fire? Well, what's inside of a battery case? So question is your manufacturer X, is your heater kit UL listed? Is it safety certified? Some don't have an answer to that, but we do.
I wouldn't even know to ask it, probably.
The average consumer doesn't.
Yeah. So they are big batteries and they can run a multitude of things. From what I've seen, you can have a smaller battery that runs, your cookware for a few things, and I know depending on how much voltage and watt hours you're looking for, can you use it for like AC, refrigerator, all that?
So that's the key. And I know this is the entry level into myths, so we'll keep it entry. Bottom line is your limitations are really around your BMS and your battery. The point of it is that most applications in the B class market, the smaller vans, only use a 3,000 watt inverter. Some of the C class markets, more larger with larger air conditioners, they like to do a 5,000 watt inverter. Now, even at 12 volts, lower voltage, our BMS can do 5,000 watts inverter. So that means it can run a lot of household appliances.
Does that mean total it can run 5,000 watts of energy at a time?
Yeah.
Okay.
And some of those inverters are designed to double its rating. So if you have a 5,000 watt inverter, for like 5 seconds, it can do 10. Why? Because when the air conditioner kicks on, it draws a lot of power.
Okay.
The point is that our BMS can handle that load.
Yeah.
So in other words, yes, in all different spaces, depending on what you want to run, absolutely, there is no limitation. I can officially say there's no limitation. If you have a big A-class diesel pusher or a big yacht, and you have commercial grade appliances, can you run those? Absolutely.
Yeah. And we've got some exciting upgrades too with our alternator that makes it even easier to do that, right?
Yeah. Yep.
We love that. We'll definitely have to dive into the alternator
Yeah, I think
on a
that's
whole other
its own episode for sure. Yeah, right.
Awesome. And then what do you think, like, what would you say the main mistake people are making when they're looking to upgrade their power, or they're looking at an RV and thinking about their power systems?
The main mistake is one is not understanding the safety side of it. Is how do you want to upgrade according to what you want to do with your power system, how to do it safely.
Right.
So you also have to take in consideration your cabling sizes, your fuse sizing, and then you go off and say, okay, now what do I need to do to run things, not just the battery system, but the overall installation. So that's a common mistake. The other mistake, really, we have a saying that batteries don't die, they're murdered. Yeah, I know. That's a pretty crazy thing. Meaning that, we're not.
I'm sorry. What?
Yeah. And that's kind of the reason why we didn't do a lot of we still don't. We don't like to do DIY space, because an average consumer, thinks that it's as simple as positive and negative and just it's off and going.
Yeah.
But the more consumers that have been in the market longer, they understand charge sources, they understand firmware, what can overcharge a lithium, what's going to so they get a little bit more.
So we're not hating on DIYers, but essentially the safety aspect, the way that it's run will only really be correct if it's done by someone who's like a certified installer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we want our hands on that experience, making sure that is done correctly, because obviously we hold the highest premium name in the market, and we want to keep it like that.
Yeah, and essentially you don't get the warranty the same if you're doing it yourself. Yeah. And some people do. Some people like to get their hands dirty, but with our batteries, we like to make sure they're
properly connected.
They're properly connected. One of the last things that I wanted to dive into a little bit on this episode that we've been touching upon is safety overall.
I think right now we're being more and more known for our battery casing.
Yeah.
So people will come up at an expo and start going like this number, and they start grabbing things. And it's because we don't, all of our big volume is really in an aluminum alloy enclosure that's fireproof and crush proof. So when you're motive, you're moving.
Yeah.
And if you get hit, the case would not allow the crush to happen.
Right.
At the same time, not all fires in the RV space and the marine space is caused by the battery. It could be an oil fire, or somebody's cooking, or something happening externally. Well, with our case, if you have an external flame, it's not going to penetrate into the case and affect the cells. At the same time, if it is a lithium, what they call thermal runaway, it's not going to get out of the case.
Yeah.
So now you have two protections that's there. Lithionics, in my opinion, is the only one that's doing it. From my exposure, from what I've seen,
it's mostly plastic, right?
Everybody else is pretty much building in plastic. Why?
And
because that's imports. Yeah, that's kind of imports what's happening in the import market. And plus, it is a more expensive way to engineer, right? Because you got to engineer and test the case itself.
Right.
So that's the biggest thing, in my opinion, that sets us apart. The second thing that I noticed is our battery management system is not just a battery protection system. It manages things, meaning that it will not just disconnect and not tell you what's going on. It'll disconnect and tell you why. That allows in-field diagnostics. So if someone's traveling, we can know if a charge component went rogue. So you have the case, you have the BMS, And then at the same time, we are not putting false UL ratings on them. So meaning that our UL certification is designed to be motive. We're not putting the same UL certification on this battery than we would on this battery.
Yeah.
Different types.
It's
different
1973
yeah, UL
on
1973.
our battery. And
Yep.
then...
Now, here's the coolest thing is
Yeah.
we are also the only manufacturer that I know of that will give you a multi-million-dollar product liability insurance.
That's true.
So if a fire is caused by our batteries, you have a multi-million-dollar. So that's how much we back.
That's, yeah.
Yeah. So that's big into safety. Things you want to look out for is if you're looking for a battery, you look at the data sheet. It says cells, 1973. It means the only thing that they've tested to that level is the cell itself.
So not the full
Not
product.
the full battery.
Yeah.
So what is required in that situation? They got to put a battery into a metal enclosure. So that if they do get into a wreck, the compartment, a metal compartment will protect the battery.
But ours already has one.
Yeah.
So
that's big UL, that's big safety. But yeah, that's the reason why we stand apart.
You touched upon the BMS. We've been chatting about it.
Yeah.
Overall, it essentially is like the brain, right? It's going to tell the battery what to do. Like, how does that really affect your safety?
So when you look at just an example, this goes to the battery. So the battery connects here and is providing power to the BMS, and this goes out to the system. All the BMS is doing is it's connecting this power wire with this terminal. It's allowing the system. So there's something saying connect, disconnect, connect, disconnect. So the BMS is preventing anything that can damage or harm or could prevent even like what they call a lithium fire. Mm-hmm. It's gonna recognize anything that's happening that can cause that. So it prevents. At the same time, it's also going to extend your battery life. These are expensive no matter what manufacturer you go with.
Right.
The point of the BMS is saying, will what I'm doing at this state, will it limit the battery life of it? And if it does, then it's going to start doing things. It's going to start decreasing charge or going to cut off. It's going to allow a longer battery life. And then as we talked about, it also monitors. So it speaks to the consumer on what it's doing and what you need to be concerned with. So it's doing everything. It's preventing, it's extending, and it's monitoring.
Yeah.
All at the same time.
And then you track it all on your phone, right?
Yeah, it's Bluetooth.
Just through a Bluetooth app.
Yep. Or you'll actually, on some of these screens now, you'll see on the actual panel that's inside, you'll see if there's an alarm that they need to take in consideration. And then they call Lithionics, who they actually get a person and they can troubleshoot or they can explain whatever the case. Some are just alarms, but some are cutoffs.
Got it.
You gotta worry about,
Yeah. And then the state of charge stays at that high capacity.
Yeah. That's really key. Is you want to make sure that your state of charge is accurately recorded. We're always improving that. That would be probably another episode, talk about state of charge.
Absolutely.
You have a negative cable. They cut the negative cable and they put a little thing that measures the amount of amps that pass through, and that shunt reports voltage and whatever's going on. Well, this has an internal type shunt. It's not really a shunt, but it measures the current coming out of it. So we control that report.
And then I guess the last thing is, how does this safety compare to other power types on the market? You could get AGM batteries, you could get a generator. Why wouldn't I get those options?
Well, a generator is always going to be in this market, right? Because some people are just going to live and die by generator. Some of them are just, it's just a redundancy. They're going to have a generator on there. But at the end of the day, of course, it's extra fuel, loudness of it. Then you have the exhaust fumes, things like that.
Yeah, there's certain limitations, right?
There's limitations in all capacities. Yeah. But AGM is different. So AGM has a very for the safety, there's so much resistance in an AGM battery. You're not going to have a lot of things happen, but you'll have chemical buildup on the terminals, right? And that ultimately is hazardous, right? Yeah. But as far as the lithium from one battery manufacturer to another, safety and cutoffs, all that does change. So like I mentioned, some of them don't have the cutoff, some of them do. Right. Some of them report it, some of them don't. Some of them have they don't allow as much current to pass through because they're too scared. The battery, when you make something robust, it allows more current and more voltage to pass through. So there is variations, and that's what I would look at as a consumer is what does the BMS, how does it protect my family? How does it protect my investment?
Yeah, because a lot of people go out, they're off grid, they're with their dogs, they want to go camping. They don't want to have to worry about that, right? Well, thank you so much. I feel like I've learned so much. Hopefully, whoever's listening learned a thing or two. And if you didn't or have any questions, you can definitely feel free to leave them in the comments below, and we'll address them in our next episode. But really, we just want to make sure that you guys are getting educated, staying safe, and getting the right setup for your lifestyle. Thank you all for listening, and we hope to see you next time. Bye.